Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another talk about the journey to the tarot. Okay, before I would like to say hello to Bernadette and Vladimir and Abby, and thank you for joining this evening. Okay, this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we continue with um, from where we left last week, and that was the beginning of um, hello Hanshiman, the the emperor. We we saw how the journey started with um, uh, the fool, and then the magician, the high priestess, and the empress. Now we are nearly, I don't want to say at the end because there are more major arcana. But with the emperor, this is always keep in mind that I'm covering the Rider Waite tarot deck, and the emperor here represents uh, the father in a more traditional sense, um, and also another aspect of the emperor is also the one of the judge, the one that dictates the rules. As you can see, in a different deck, the major arcana now uh, have started to be um, represented represented in different way. And here, instead, in the rather weight, um, the emperor is really the one uh, who has the power, the one who is the disciplinarian, and if if he wants to, can also decide the punishments. And if we look at it from a psychological point of view, for a child, the father is um, mm, it's a figure that, and it's a present in their life, that from some reasons, for various reasons, is cannot be separated from the society. So somehow, hello Helen, hello Brenda, hello Dolores, Abby, thank you for joining. Uh, so in many ways, the emperor kind of represents both. and mm, and one um, and I guess if you think about it, one of our realization of a person realizations come when we understand, we grow up, we get to that point, and we understand that our parents, our father, they are not perfect as we used to see, to look at them as children. And so this is what, the interpretation also of this figure can also evoke. Um, when we look at the major arcana, um, I said this last week. The major arcana 3 and 4 can also, the Empress and the Emperor together, and I showed you already this last Monday before finishing, and they also can represent the the archetypes of parents. Um, but in the way the Empress um, represents the earthly world, the natural world, um, you know, the real, the maternal figure, the earthly, um, and the earthly desire as well. The emperor um, also has a more, you know um, a wider connotations. um, for example, doesn't not only the emperor represents a person of power, but also the society. And that was, I think, that was understandable when I said about the child that um, that also sees cannot distinguish the figure of the father from that of the society. So mm, the society, um, and with these two archetypes, we have the representation of the natural world and the representation of society as well. Um, the emperor represents the laws of society, and in a positive, in their positive and their negative connotation, uh, and also because the emperor represents, or has this authoritative figure, he also has the power to enforce these laws. Um, so in a reading could be a figure of power, um, but also could also represent um, the norms in the society, the restriction of the society that are somehow imposed, or maybe someone can't you know follow this rule. Everything depends, you know, on the readings. Um, and the society allows us both, you know, to work together, so to be united as a community, and benefit from each other, from you know, relying, not exploiting each other, relying on each other, um, and also um, this community, this sense of community brings lead us lead the community um, to spiritual growth, to development, um, and you know, in a negative, in the negative connotation, this might be seen as um, mm, you know, the societal laws that oppress. Um, Hello, Dom. Dom dash innate 101. Okay. Um, if you see uh, the symbolism, the emperor is, first of all, the expression. Notice the expression on his face, and it's quite stern. Um, he holds in his hands the Egyptian ankh, which is a symbol of eternal life. Um, but he wears an armor, even if it's covered with the robes which with which is covered are noble, are refined, so very traditional. And the armor and the expression on his face are, you know, makes him like, how can I say, um, it's difficult to keep up with the with times, like progressing to something more, keeping the rules to all the traditions that now are outdated. Um, you can see that, you know, he sit on this chair, which seems really made of stone. There are four Ramses, which are, you know, Aries, the Aries sun sign, um, indicates also the beginning of a new season. So it's not all doom and gloom. By the way, indicates also the beginning of a new season, like a springtime. And also the Aries sign. It's a sign of passion, a sign of action, a fire sign. Um, what else? What else? Just a second. Mm, um, for sure, um, the emperor looks straight at you. He doesn't look on the side, on any side, right or left. Um, so you can tell that he is confident. He's a confident person. Um, and for sure is not scared to is not scared to use his authority. And um, okay, now the next one is the Hierophant. um, the mm, the the Hierophant in um, in ancient Greece was the priest, was the keeper um, of mysteries. And the was the keeper of sacred mysteries. Um, in this this major arcana really doesn't change a lot, even in other decks. More or less is represented in the same way. It's difficult to find a deck where the representation um, is, the depiction, the image is drastic, is changed drastically. Um, Originally, this was called the Pope, and then um, the name was changed. Um, the and again, the name Hierophant comes the um, was the Hierophant was the high priest of the Greek Eleusinian. Um, the use of the term mystery um, gives another interpretation, um, especially this different the different interpretation was given. We find it um, mm, in the book of Thoth by Aleister Crowley. And according to Crowley, um, here the Hierophant represents the initiation into an order. Um, for example, like the one, um, the Order of the Golden Dawn, which Aleister Crowley was already was a member. Um, and basically, this is a ritual of initiation of the two students here that you, I don't know if you, I know that many of you know this arcana very well. Um, these students here feels like they are initiated and um, admitted as novices to um, this, we can say, order, um, or a church, or it is anyway, the representation is a representation of a ritual. um, and it seems like um, the two students have to, to accept, to learn this belief, and um, before they can um, enter the establishment as a physical establishment. Um, if we follow instead the interpretation of um, the Rider Waite, we can see how the Hierophant is, um, follows the Emperor a little bit, um, follows the Emperor, um, because the word, you know Pope, means also father, um, and like, there's an analogy, here with like, the Roman emperor, the Pope, is like a wise father that is guiding um, his children. Um, Together, they share the responsibility, for they share the responsibility for humanity, and um, not only for their physical needs, but also for their spiritual growth. Um, uh, and we can tell also that, with this major arcana, um, there's also that uncomfortable part where, if you want to, reach, um, your s- this our spiritual growth anyway is subjected to painful experiences, and that's how, we reach, and enlightenment. We get enlightened, and we grow spiritually. This is also another meaning that we find here in the Hierophant. Instead, for Aleister Crowley, um, the Hierophant represents an initiation phase, um, in the sense that the individual becomes at one with the universe. Um, and this is quite an interesting way of seeing um, the high, the hierophant. Um, when we look at on the other hand, when we look at the rider weight, which is in more up at the moment, we can see here there are two golden there are two golden keys here. Um, and these keys indicates that um, these keys are the access um, to our inner knowing, our inner knowledge, and that we can reach that uh, our inner knowing if we unfollow, not we unfollow, if we focus on that. Because if we only um, focus on the outer world, um, that inner knowledge is we we keep that inner knowledge hidden from us. So we all have the keys to access it, and they are represented by um, golden um, golden keys. Um, as you can see here, there are again pillars, as in the same way as in the High Priestess, but the difference here is there's no veil. So uh, whereas in the High Priestess, the veil was like a separation between the world, the material world, the world unseen, and the world seen, and the world unseen. And the High Priestess was the one who is in between the two worlds. She has access to both to the two worlds. Here's there's no separation, and so everybody can have access uh, to um, to this building, and though all those who enter the building um, are you know get knowledge, they get protection, um, um, and there's also a side um, where um, they don't get the access of um, the the polarity the polarity aspects, and so the unconscious mind remains unconscious. um, it, it 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 can be said that the um, the outer dogma, um, okay, basically, uh, doctrine, not really doctrine, the foundation, or the basis of a tradition. They gives the novice um, the route, the route for to start their path of development. Um, Even though it's just a starting point for them, and for everybody, and it's not said that it's a binding, it's a binding one, as you know, the novice then has to grow in it, and live, living, growing to a greater status, living the novice status, to you know going to master, and um, his path, their path of development. um, Another aspect of the symbolism um, is um, is the position of the hierophant, and here of we have the two novices, um, um, and they they nearly give the impression of forming a triad, um, like that would be in Christian mysticism, would be the the Trinity, or of the triune picture of the mind, um, like the ID, the ego, and the superego. And this is refers to Freud, um, or the unconscious, the unconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious. Um, and this is, this brings us back a little bit to the high priestess. Just a second, let me take the high priestess. And this is brings us back because she sits. All right, here we go. Okay, she sits between the two pillars, symbolizing the dualities, as I said last week, of life, um, and the instead, The Hierophant initiates the students, as you can see. I'll put it one next to the other. Um, Initiates the students, and we see that the the major arcana, the major arcana, the Hierophant, the Lovers, um, and the Chariot, um, all represent, um, in their representation of polarity, of duality. They all make an attempt to mediate between the opposites poles, um, of life, and also to find a solution for this opposition, but at the same time to keep them in balance mm, and harmony. Here, I don't think this refers to any particular religious creed or dogma, but but um, mm, when we talk about a religious creed with mm, its its moral codes, um, and explanation, um, in most, in most readings, the Hierophant um, can represent a specific um, um, a specific a religion, can represent a religion, can represent a church, or even education or a doctrine. Um, and As I was saying before, the continuation, that the link that the Hierophant has with the Emperor is because this cannot the can indicate, can indicate orthodoxy and conformity to societal norms, um, codes of behavior, um, and at the same time, um, mm, the Hierophant represents our sense of um, responsibility that we have, and the obedience, also the obedience um, to the rules. Um, it can also be seen as um, you know there is major arcana could be also about uh, counseling, about teaching, and what we should or what we ought to, um, in a traditional way, because the Hierophant as well, rap represents a traditional establishment, um, with set values, morals, and and knowledge. Um, and this, when we when we abide when we abide to laws um, mm, created, let's say, by someone else, like society, like the government, um, is there when we are, uh, we are in kind of um, trained to obey. Um, and the hierophant is the figure that um, reveals the sacred knowledge, and um, bringing the sacred knowledge from the inner world. And this is all, it's only possible when there's, as I said before, not a detachment from the outer world, uh, but basically when we think, um, we think by ourselves, because at time of following blindly the rules setting up by someone else's is not, um, is not always um, beneficial to ourselves. And these also um, mm, can bring to um, wrongdoings in society. So uh, it's a it's an encouragement to um, mm, to have that little bit of discernment, knowing the right from wrong. And as human beings, we are tempted um, to mm, to turn to others for direction, and that could be also to an institution, um, especially especially in moments of need, to get to know how, um, how to go along our way, um, which could be, there are cases where can be beneficial, and mm, can be beneficial, and can help us to, um, let's say, to get back get back on track. But the main point of the hierophant is, um, yes, accept, as a novice, take, um, uh, take the first step, take the guidance, and then move forward, uh, following um, following not blindly, completely blindly the set rules um, of society, and always use discernment, our critical thinking, and when we need guidance, we can have the support to get back on track. Um, and again, the key to our inner knowledge is in our hands, and these are represented as golden keys. No one else can do the work for us but ourselves. Okay, now we have um, the lovers and mm, Rider Waite. Um, with the Rider Waite deck, this is maybe one of the major arcana who had really a dramatic change. If you want to see the tarot de Marseille, the lovers is represented there are two two people, and there's another person in between. Here, the change. Here we go to different into different tradition, Christian mysticism, Kabbalah, and uh, it's um, it's really. But anyway, let's go. Um, uh, the card shows a man and a woman, and there's um, there's an angel here, as you can see. My light is not. There's an angel here. Um, mm, and this angel shows them garden, a new garden of Eden, um, with with trees that bring enlightenment. Um, with the trees that bring enlightenment. Um, this major arcana, um, the original name of this major arcana was the choice, and that was basically the choice between the desires, and the choice also can apply. We can see this choice applying to a person, someone's life, or or where people might be living a life that from the outside seems um, what they, the life that they want to live, but in reality the hidden part is not that. The reality is not what they are. They're not living the life of their choice, even though from someone looking but not only someone else looking from outside, because it's nobody else's business. They think they are living the life, they choose the life they are living, um, but internally this is different. um, if we look If we consider on an esoteric level, um, mm, the choice is this choice can be between the outer world, our society, um, mm, or we can put our life in someone else's hands, and they can do, you know, our part is laid out in front of us, or we can choose the inner path, um, which is the inner part, the inner part of the occultist, or the path of the magician, the major arcana of the magician. Um, the traditional version of this major arcana represents the phase of the adolescence, uh, where you know intellectual, intellectual, moral, and independence. Mm, we know that when kids get to that age, they want to start to make their own choices, um, be more independent, even though they might not be ready. But this is what the lovers represent. And if we look at, um, if we consider the empress, um, the emperor, and the hierophant, they're archetypal. Um, they are the archetype of nature with the empress, the archetype of society with the emperor, and um, mm, then um, society with the emperor and the hierophant. And then we have the um, the parent, the parent uh, with the hierophant, and not only society, but also the parent with the hierophant. Then when we get to the lovers, there's the individuality of the personality, the individuality of the person, and the individuality in its own right, like, um, as I said, being able to make their own decisions, and not following um, the parents' orders. Maybe orders is a little bit strong as a term, but um, indications, instructions, um, anymore. Um, um, with this representation of of the lovers. Um, Albert uh, Albert Waite wanted address also another subject, which is basically the physical love and the love as meaning in life. And mm, and basically only when we understand the importance of love in our life, we really understand the meaning of life itself. Um, because when we are act and when we live in a state of love, in a vibration of love, um, if you prefer, we let go of that part of the ego um, that wants to control everything. Um, that part that us isolate we that isolate us from others, and and from life as well. um, the angel here, mm, the angel appears above above the couple, as you can see. um, but they can see the angel only when they are together. They can, what Albert Waite wants to say with this representation is that in unity, um, the couple can see the angel. When we act um, individually, we can't see, or we can't reach a state of um, that state that allow us to see the magic, let's say the magic. So it's nearly an encouragement, to act and to be close to others. And this is it's a recurring it's a recurring theme this evening. um and the and here in this major arcana, there's also reinforcement of the concept of duality, of polarity. um, um, as you can see, there's the tree of life with flames instead of leaves behind the man, and the tree of knowledge instead is uh, with leaves, with fruits behind the woman. And there's also a serpent there, but this serpent has no a negative connotation. Quite the opposite. The serpent is it's only, it's a symbol for the unconscious wisdom, the wisdom that is there but we are not aware of yet. Um, So, and if we consider the traditional teachings told us that um, um, male and female held different different principles, and and they, different principles joined together through love. And this is not only, is the representation of um, the sublime love. um, Occultists have, occultists have always recognized these these elements instead within the self. And the major arcana here mm, brings out um, and unites um, the male and female principles. Um, Kabbalists and Hermetic philosophers um, saw humanity and deity um, without, the distinction of gender as hermaphrodite. Um, so mm, on on the outer level, everybody is everyone is half a person until they don't find um, the other um, the other half. And which, true love, there is that sense of unity. Now I know that I'm going a little bit over time, but I'm nearly finished. um from the point of view, instead of Christian mysticism, there's um this is seen as, mm, the garden of Eden, where Eve uh, eat, ate the apple and tempted Adam to eat the apple as well. So because of that, women were considered not to have a soul. Um, they were told to leave the garden. um, and this is creates only, you know um, creates a repressive modality. um, the true the true intent behind the way of depicting the lovers in this way is to bring back that spark, the spark, and the divine spark, and blend that spark of with the human side of every human being, and um, become become one, um, once again. So that duality between human being and God can come to an end. um, and making God and human being one, as it, as we all know. I think it should be. Um, um, this also, teach us in a way that to raise our spiritual senses, we need to keep at bay our logic mind, um, and uh, the meaning of the rider weight mm, is mainly, um, you might have also heard that is, when you see the lovers, it's about a choice, because the old maybe the old name for this major arcana was the choice, but the main purpose of this major arcana is to bring to the fore, to live to live a life in a vibration, and in a state of love, and that this love can be found with another person. Um, and when we are alone, we are not alone. When we are not, let's say, coupled with someone else, we are basically incomplete. Okay. Okay. uh, I okay, we are at the. I'm sorry I couldn't go much further, but time really really flies. um we are at the end for this evening, and I'll see you next Monday, and I'll go through, um, with you, uh, to other, the chariot strength. Let's see if I. But there's so much, to say about it. um, and also keeping in consideration, looking into other traditions. Uh, it's also it's also a way to expand the knowledge, and most of all the understanding of, the major arcana, the journey to the tarot, and how, they can, this journey is really, a journey of discovery. um, I thank you everybody for being with me this evening, and really, I thank you, Universal Spiritualism, and Veronica Jenkins. And thank you, Stace, for doing the admin this evening. Um, I'll see you on Saturday. Last Saturday I was not really well, so I preferred not doing the readings, but I'll be there next Saturday. Thank you everybody again. See you on Saturday, next Saturday, or next Monday, to continue, our journey to the tarot. Thank you very much.